We're not a good podcast. We're not a bad podcast. We are just the podcast. Welcome, everyone, to Believe That, the only podcast dedicated exclusively to WWE's most polarizing superstar, Roman Reigns. With me, with me, Betsy Struxness, my co-host, as always. I am Mike Janella. And Betsy, well, Roman's dead.
Totally. Yeah. Clearly. They totally killed him off.
It was fun hosting this show with you for the last month and a half or so, but I think this is the end of the road, so this will be our farewell episode, our series finale, because obviously there's no way the big dog comes back from all of this. No, all joking aside, we'll get to that vicious beatdown of Roman this week in a little bit. We also have talk about the Superstar Shakeup.
Yep.
Betsy, you did not trade me, so thank you very much for keeping me on your show.
Come on.
We will go through some of our most exciting and maybe most apprehensive trades in the shakeup. I'm also going to play a game with you, Betsy.
Okay.
Superstar Shakeup Roman Reigns edition. Now, obviously, Raw would never trade him because he's the golden boy. But what would it take? We're going to make you the general manager of Raw. I'm going to play general manager of SmackDown. I'm going to offer you some trades later to see what it would take to get Roman Reigns out of your hands. That sound fun?
Okay. Yes, that sounds fun. And a little bit stressful, but fun.
It's a stressful position. That's why Mick Foley got fired. He couldn't handle it anymore.
Right?
So we'll get to all of that. But first, Betsy, we have something that the people watching need to do. So remind them.
New slogan, folks. Review us and rate us, even if you hate us.
That's it.
We'll take all of it.
Boom. Yeah. 0 stars through 5 stars. Just give us something. We are available on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play. You can find us all over the place. So wherever you can hit a star or write a review, do it. And review us and rate us, even if you hate us, in the spirit of Roman Reigns. We just want the heat. Any kind of heat you can give us, we will take it. All right, Betsy. Well, yeah, R.I.P. Roman Reigns. It was a good career for him, a good life on this planet Earth. Let's jump right into it. Monday Night Raw, he gets one of the most vicious beatdowns of all time. Before we could kind of recap it, I guess, what was your initial thought to that?
Oh, well, I was watching the interview with him and Michael Cole and was a little bit like, all right, what did I write down? Oh, yeah, I said I wanted more of a heel turn in that interview, and we didn't get it at all. Like, pretty much at all. I mean, like, you just beat The Undertaker at WrestleMania and perhaps ended his career. And then there's just sort of this like wan kind of interview. And then here comes along Braun. And my notes are, oh, hey, Braun. So unpredictable. Which it's not.
Yeah, I was going to say a little bit of sarcasm there for anyone who's we're on YouTube, by the way, for those of you who are just listening. And if you couldn't see Betsy's face there, if you weren't watching us, if you're just listening, sarcasm across the board.
Oh, yes. The largest of eye rolls.
Well, let's save that for a little bit, because I agree with you that the storytelling that they were going down before the beatdown, and even the whole beatdown itself, is, I guess, mediocre at best, especially for what we wanted from last week. But let's talk about the beatdown itself, because that's what everyone is buzzing about.
Yes.
We'll quickly recap it for you. So, number one, he gets thrown over like a 5-foot-tall bin onto a catering table.
Which was great.
Amazing.
That toss was magnificent. The air time and the hang time he had hitting that table, great.
It was like Olympic high jump caliber. Like he cleared, and if you notice on that little bin that he cleared, there was a bunch of Coke cans and water bottles. Didn't even touch one of them. Just cleared them all.
Yep. Yeah, that was spectacular.
Incredible. So then he's thrown into like that garage door and crumples like a limp balloon.
Yep.
Which Roman, great job. Physical acting, by the way. Fantastic. Yep. He's power slammed into that metal crate that's on the floor. Yep. Then he has another container kind of thrown into him when he's crumpled up against the door. Then the classic spot where he's gurneyed up on the stretcher and Braun comes in and throws him off the ramp on the stretcher 20 feet below to his death. Go ahead. You got something you want to say about that, it looks like.
Well, I did go back like 2 or 3 times on Hulu.
As you should.
I was like, where'd they switch it? Where'd they switch it? And then I figured it out. And I was like, There it is.
Yeah, and they
There it is.
did. I don't know if they fixed this for Hulu or not because I was watching it live, but they did have some kind of like camera glitches. Did you notice those right
They
around
didn't
then?
fix that for Hulu.
They did not?
that. No, they let that ride, and
Right.
that's where I was like, oh yes,
Yeah, which I think obviously that was their MO was, oh, we're going to make it so there was some interference, maybe Braun tripped a cable or something, but to me that took me out of the moment. I think they could have easily done the switch without those little, oh, we interrupt this broadcast type glitches on the screen, because to me that gave it away. Obviously we knew it wasn't real anyway, but that was a little too much.
With all of the like Broadway magic I've seen of different things, and I'm plugging a new show now because Groundhog Day, currently playing on Broadway, does a great job of like it's magic because they switch around the lead character at one point a bunch of times so that you're like, there he is. No, wait, he's over there. And so having seen that done live where I can't figure it out, like watching something like this where you can figure out where they switched it, I was like, come on. All of you are better than that. All of you are smarter than that. Like there is a way that it could have been done where there was no camera glitch and you just were like sitting there going, wait, how'd they do it? How'd they do it? So that's what I would have liked to have seen.
Yeah, especially because they cut the camera away so that you're seeing just Braun for 5 seconds. Mm-hmm. You don't need that little glitch on purpose. Just switch Roman out when the camera's not looking at him. It's not that hard. This is like a high school musical theater operation. They're not doing it for a whole play. They're doing it for one little switch.
Yep.
Easily could have done it.
Yep.
Anyway, that was I wouldn't say only the beginning, but certainly the highlight. And then, or maybe the highlight is this, up to you. Finally, Braun gets his hands on Roman through the stretcher. And then the EMTs get Roman finally in the ambulance. All right, we're at safety. Everything's fine. Nope, Braun's not done yet. He comes back, beats Roman up in the ambulance. I'm not done with you yet. And then he tips over the ambulance.
Tips over the ambulance.
Incredible. And there were some folks that online afterward, they're like, if you look at this exact moment and you look at the bottom left of the screen, you can see some shadows of feet running away from the back of the ambulance. So Roman, believe it or not, guys, was not in that ambulance when it was tipped over. I know, crazy. But still, I mean, I'm assuming that I'm sure there was help on the backside. And as someone who's worked in theater, I'm curious your take on how they did this. I don't think Braun actually tipped that ambulance over by himself. Was it maybe like a harness or someone on the other side pulling while he pushed? What do you think? Or was he that strong to do it? What do you think?
He might be that strong because we've seen Mark Henry pull two trucks.
Yeah, but pulling, and I've worked for world records companies before who do this kind of stuff, like, biggest vehicle pulled or whatever, and pulling is a lot easier than tipping over because you can put the car in gear and the wheels roll, whereas this is just kind of brute strength.
Now, my guess is that, I wonder if it was some sort of, prop ambulance that maybe they used for, movies and TVs and whatnot, where it is lighter weight. So you don't have the heaviness of, all of the instruments and all of the gear that would be in an actual ambulance, so that it is lighter weight than an actual one. Not to really take away from the feat itself.
Not at all.
I mean, good Lord. But that's my guess. My guess is just that it's kind of it's a prop car.
Yeah, that's a good point. And even you could take the engine out, like all the actual ambulance car stuff, plus all the instruments, like you say. Maybe there's no seats in the front, just kind of the frame and the look of an ambulance, but not all the stuff on the inside. So maybe he did do it.
But then end up taking Roman away in a van?
Right, which then they put Roman in a van that's half the size later, drive him away. And I'm thinking, well, if Braun could tip over the ambulance, what's he going to do to this little Dodge Voyager or whatever that they're driving Roman away in now? Get a Brinks truck, an armored truck or something. Protect Roman. He needs all the help.
Right, get him a fire truck.
Yes, exactly. Oh my gosh. It was great. So in all, it was. I timed it out more than 7 minutes. This segment of Roman just getting mercilessly beat down, sometimes very realistically, sometimes very comically. Yep. So the internet's kind of divided over this, seeing the reaction the last couple of days. Some people saying it's the greatest segment they've ever seen on Raw. Some people saying so cheesy, over the top, takes me out of suspension of disbelief. It's gone like even too far. So where do you stand? Did you absolutely love it? Was it too over the top? Combination of both? What do you got?
A combination of both, much like the whole Ms. Maurice, Nikki and John segment where, the Miz and Maurice are doing their like Total Bellas thing that is just ridiculously over the top.
Right.
It's sort of the same thing. Like this started off being a beatdown and I was like, oh, okay. And then the second he pushed him off of that loading dock on the stretcher, I was just laughing. But I don't, that's fine. Like I didn't mind the segment at all. And I don't really understand, like still don't understand what they're doing with Braun. Like, are they really putting him up at the level of Roman Reigns? Like, really? Are we there? Are we there yet?
I mean, he's challenging Brock Lesnar. He's with Roman every week. I mean, we are living in a world where Braun Strowman is now an A+ player, at least for the time being. It's crazy.
Yeah. And maybe that's just like with the whole sort of, divided rosters shakeup thing. Like they really are kind of, it's kind of my problem with the divided roster when you only have them appearing either on Raw or either on SmackDown. It really does divide it so that the cream of the crop is a very it's a few people. It's not a big group of people. And so then they're having to push these people who are, I don't believe up to the caliber yet. And so, I mean, you got to make the push sometime, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the hope is that a divided roster allows these opportunities and you can find someone, if Braun's up for it, you're going to find someone new to be a new superstar. If not, you're going to see a lot of sink or swim where this split necessitates it. And I guess it's working better with some than others. Braun, yes. Putting Randy Orton back in the title picture on SmackDown, no. Boring. So, I guess they're seeing how it goes. I loved it, too, because it was over the top. So many people on Twitter, when the GIFs were going around and everything, I think WWE's tweet was, "What did Braun just do?" with a GIF of him throwing Roman off on the stretcher. And all these people replying, "What did Braun just do? Waited for a stunt dummy to come in on a camera cut and threw that off the ramp? Like, come on, you're like people just nitpicking on purpose." It's like, yeah, man, we know that's the whole point. This is the same company that blew up Vince McMahon in his limo, like an explosion to his death on camera. So the people who complain about it being too silly, too over the top, that was the point. And that's why we love this stuff, because it's so silly, but at the same time tinged with some reality that you got to just put your palm on your head sometimes and think, what am I watching? But loving it the whole time.
Yes. That's exactly that right there, like the hand on the head, but then like loving it at the same time. That is exactly what I was going through watching it.
Yeah, same here. And most of the people I know, podcasts that I listen to, or guys who write recap articles, sort of media that cover WWE, loved it too, because we all realize what we've gotten ourselves into and that this is part and parcel with what comes with the territory. So, the only bad thing, I guess, for our boy Roman is that the crowd loved it. Braun's beatdown got the biggest babyface pop of the night, and that's a problem, I think, for what WWE is trying to do.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see how they go, because it's also, again, like, Roman surviving the Undertaker match at WrestleMania and putting the man in his grave, to then come and get a beat down like this. You're like, okay, where are you going from here? When are you going to turn him like full heel?
Yeah, it doesn't jive. So let's talk about that, because the beatdown is pretty much, it is what it is. Roman got just destroyed and eviscerated. And by the way, his injuries, quote unquote, according to Michael Cole, a separated shoulder, cracked ribs, and the always ominous internal injuries.
Yep.
So who knows what's going to happen. Roman, maybe they keep him off TV for a week or two. I also wouldn't be surprised if he's back next Monday ready for a match, because he's just indestructible. But
right, because Cole did say that they were like potential injuries, or like, what did he call them? I forget what exactly he called them.
I forget what he said too exactly.
But it was one of those that it's like, this could be what's happening, but we don't really know, so don't take our word for it, but it could be what's happening. And you're like, Right. So none of it's happening.
None of it's true, yeah. Which is funny because Roman, I mean, we can assume he came out of this not unscathed. I'm sure he had some bruises, some cuts, but I'm sure if he'll probably be wrestling house shows this weekend somewhere.
Right.
But after going through all of that, obviously he wasn't in the ambulance or on the stretcher, but all the other abuse he took. But then you have someone like Finn Balor who takes a stray forearm to the head in his match and now was knocked out cold, has a concussion. It's so weird how wrestling works. It's crazy.
Concussion?
Did you not know that?
No, I told you I don't read anything.
Oh, yeah. Oh, sorry to break the news to you. Yeah, he was officially concussed after that match. They diagnosed him. So poor Finn.
It was Jinder Mahal, wasn't it?
Classic Jinder.
Juice Jinder. Juice Jinder.
He did such a bad job with that, they traded him to Smackdown the very next night. No, but it's crazy how the smallest things in wrestling can actually legitimately hurt a guy for a shoot. And then Roman takes 7 minutes of being slammed into crates and thrown off his feet, and he's probably going to walk away just fine, which just blows my mind. But
yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, moving on. So, yeah, storytelling made no sense to me. Even before the beatdown in his little thing with Cole, like you said, he was back to those kind of gray area face tendencies.
Yep.
I didn't want to retire. I just go out there to win. I'm the big dog now, whatever. And that kind of beatdown, that's what you do to a Daniel Bryan type to get sympathy from the fans.
Yeah.
So getting destroyed by this 7-foot-tall monster for 7 minutes, that's what you do when you're trying to get a babyface to have the crowd rally behind him or to have one of his friends. I mean, Dean Ambrose is on Raw now. Why wasn't he running out to save Roman? Like, that's the kind of stuff that you expect in a typical babyface getting ganged up on turn. But if we just spent all last week having Roman booed out of the building for 5 minutes of silence in his promo in Orlando, how are you going to take him back to where he was pre-WrestleMania? I just think it's such a dumb decision.
I do too, but again, it comes back to my theory that maybe he's just not in any way, shape, or form a heel in real life. Like there's no.
Just try it. Like if you write it for him, he can maybe do it.
I know. But that's what I'm wondering. I'm wondering if there's just no arrogance in the guy whatsoever. So he just really doesn't know how to pull it off.
I mean, there's two schools of thought with wrestling characters, right? One is that you are who you are, just turned up a little bit. Stone Cold Steve Austin, for example. The other is now kind of, I think, more of a modern thing. You see it from what I hear and read about Charlotte and The Miz in particular, who supposedly are two of the nicest people on earth.
Yeah.
But The Miz, either because of his acting chops or just since he's been on the real world so young, maybe that skill he has of altering reality. And
right.
Charlotte, I think, just because she learned from her dad, probably, who can just put on this entire new persona when the lights come on.
Yeah.
And I guess Roman just doesn't have that. But we see with like the stuff that's been written for Charlotte and for The Miz, and I heard a great interview with Charlotte on Cheap Heat, ESPN's podcast before WrestleMania, how there are certain things the writers want her to say that she won't because she's too nice. Like she won't attack anyone's individual appearance like fans. Like she won't say, all you fat slobs here in Boston tonight because she thinks that's bullying and that she doesn't want to. Yeah, very good for her. But that goes to show me that you can still be nice and thoughtful and considerate, but when you play within the parameters that have been given to you by creative or whomever, that you can be that bad person. So I think if given the right stuff, Roman can play that game. And I don't know if they're not letting him do it or he's not letting them do it, but this was a reverse in direction in a bad way.
I agree with that. And I too would like to know if it's WWE creative or if it's Roman or if it's an amalgamation of both. Just choosing the wrong things when we need him to be nasty. Like at this point, we need him to be nasty. We need him not to be nice to any superstar. We need him not to be nice in like any of the interviews and just kind of just be like, what more do I possibly have to do to show any one of you that I am the big dog? Like this is my yard. What could I possibly do more? Like.
And the irony below all of this running through is that he has not been in the title picture in forever.
Yeah.
And again, we we fantasy book for a living on this show, but if you're gonna get him back in, that's what you just said. Like, guys, I retired The Undertaker. I've been the number one guy on this show. I've been in every main event. When do I get my title shot? And then you could be an asshole about it that way, and that's his path to being a bit more of a dick too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Instead, we're getting the same old crap, Betsy.
Same old crap.
I mean,
Damn
people.
WWE.
Yeah, I know. Oh, people, they were chanting. This was Long Island. Remember, we talked about this last week, what that crowd would be like for him. They were chanting, "Thank you, Strowman."
Yep.
They were chanting, "You deserve it" to Roman for getting whooped. And then the classic, "Nah, nah, nah, goodbye," as the ambulance was driving him away. So you're getting this kind of reaction. Just own it. Just go with it. Turn Roman. That's our new slogan for the podcast. Turn Roman.
Turn Roman.
Let's print those T-shirts. But no, I do want to give Roman credit for one thing, though, is the selling. I mean, he knows how to sell a beatdown.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
Yeah, he was selling the shit out of that one.
Yeah, and it's good. He's a very good size in terms of if he's fighting guys like AJ Styles, Daniel Bryan, he can be the bigger, imposing monster look. But when he's going up against bigger guys like Big Show or Braun, he can look vulnerable. And when he hit that garage door, that metal door, and just crumpled down, that to me was about as perfect of a physical reaction to a beatdown and selling something that I've ever seen. It was great.
I agree, because when he was hitting like the ridges of the garage door as he was like, he let each one sort of stop him. And in my head, I was like, that's got to be uncomfortable.
It's just not fun. And he does it. Like a Plinko chip coming down the Plinko board in Price is Right. That was Roman. And it was magical.
Yep, I agree.
All right. So that's pretty much going to be it for that segment talk, because that's all that Roman did. He got beat down. So before we get to the Superstar Shakeup in our Samoan Drop segment, let's give him a Superman punches now. So we rate Roman from 1 to 10 Superman punches every week. How many are you giving him this week, Betsy?
Oh, Roman, dear Roman. I think I'm giving him a 7.5.
Somewhat generous. I mean, you'll get my score in a second, but what's your rationale there?
I think it's a little generous as well. It's because the interview was not great, but the selling of the beatdown and the beatdown itself, like what he took, was pretty spectacular. So that sort of balanced the scales in that sense for me. But I mean, it's a big step down from WrestleMania, I think.
And we gave him dual 9s at WrestleMania and for the Raw right after, because that was, except for a few botches in the match, which he's wrestling a 52-year-old man who weighs 350 pounds. What else could you expect?
At 11:40 at night.
At 11:40 at night, exactly. After a week of promotional tours and all kinds of stuff. Who knows what else he was doing. I'm giving him a 6. Just because, I mean, let's see, Roman himself, Joe Anoa'i, the actual person, I give him a 10 because having to go through that beatdown, selling the way he did, trying to deliver those lines in the interview as best as he could, he gave it his all this week. So the actual man, I give a 10, but because the storytelling is putting us right back where we were and the crowd reaction to it and the cheesiness of those lines that they gave him in the interview, that brings it down a lot for me. So I'm giving him a 6 this week for the whole kit and caboodle. But again, not to detract from the man's performance, but just the storyline and the whole events in general, a 6. And I give Braun a 10.5 because he was perfect in everything he did.
Braun did do a very good job.
Just like he would throw in those little lines, you know, like if that was Brock Lesnar, he would just come in, beat the guy up. But Braun's like, I ain't done with you yet, boy, or like that kind of stuff, and it was perfect.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get to our Samoan drop, where we drop talk of the Samoan shortly. Well, we'll come back to Roman this week. Talk about the Superstar Shakeup. So they decided, Vince McMahon did last week, to shake things up. There was no rhyme or reason. There was no rationale or logic. All of a sudden, we just open Raw with The Miz and Dean Ambrose all of a sudden on the show. General thoughts? Did you like it? Was it weird? Could it have been executed better? What do you think?
I think it's one of those things that when something new comes up, there's always a little bit of a hesitation of whether I like it or not, much like when they split the roster in general and did the two different shows. I was a little like, I don't know if I like this. I don't know if I like this. I don't know if I like this. But, you know, but eventually I just sort of got used to it, and I was like, yeah, it's fine. We get to see different people, and that's fine. And I guess sort of the inevitability of a shakeup where they trade people back and forth and, you know, just mix up the feuds and mix up who's going to wrestle whom. I think it's necessary because after a while you're just going to get tired of watching the same top people wrestle each other, you know, the same top women wrestle each other, that eventually you need it to change. And so at first I was a little like, oh, wah wah, really, we're going to do this? But then after, like, upon thinking about it, I'm like, it's not necessarily a bad thing. Like, I don't need any more like Charlotte, Sasha, Bailey, Nia. I don't. We've had that, and so, you know, to have Charlotte come over to SmackDown, I'm like, all right, I could get into this. I could get back into like a Charlotte Becky feud. You know, that could be interesting. I would actually love to see Charlotte Alexa, but that's not going to happen.
You can't have the two best heels on the same side, unfortunately. That would be a great match, though. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, my only, and to get Bray away from Randy, finally. I mean,
Yes.
Thank you. I'm fine with the idea. You have to do it. I just didn't love the execution. I get that Vince McMahon just came out and said, no, we should do this, and what Vince says goes. But it wasn't until I marked this down in my notes, 9:42 in the Raw broadcast, so over an hour and a half in, before Corey Graves said something like the GMs have been in negotiations all week to see who goes where. Like, just give me that at the top. You know, Daniel Bryan and Kurt Angle have been on the phone all week. After Vince McMahon's proclamation, they've been figuring out who deserves to go where. Instead of just, ta-da, Dean Ambrose music, like with no explanation or whatever. I just would have liked a little something about the backroom machinations, as non-existent as they may be in real life. But just give me some of that to make it a little bit more realistic. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it would have been interesting to do something much like they did with the draft, where, you know, they were on, like, everybody was on the same show, and you heard, like, the GMs and the commissioners of SmackDown and Raw, like, talking about who they wanted, like you're saying, to see sort of the backstage machinations of it.
Yeah, even give me a taped segment where it's like Kurt Angle and Daniel Bryan on speakerphones in a conference room, like, no, you're not getting AJ Styles. We want Charlotte. Like, just give me something, 2-3 minutes of a vignette. That's all I wanted, guys. Like, come on.
No, I agree with that.
I also was curious, is anyone a Raw only or a SmackDown only watcher that's like, oh no, we're losing Kevin Owens, I'm never going to see him again? I wonder if there's any people out there who actually watch just one show and not the other.
Yeah, that's what I wonder too. Because that's what I was thinking while I was watching it as well. Is I'm like, okay, well, doesn't everybody watch SmackDown and Raw?
Right, because I gave the crowd credit on Monday when, like, they had the whole segment about Seth Rollins potentially leaving for SmackDown. And everyone's like, no, don't go. Like, we love you here. It's like you're still going to watch him the next night. It's not like he's going to a different company or something. But
yeah.
I love it. All right, well, I'm going to run down the roster or the changes really quickly. And what I want you to do, Betsy, is give me the move that you're most excited about. So the superstar move that's pumped you up the most, and the one that you're least excited about. And then after we do that, we will do those hypothetical trades for Roman Reigns. So make sure to stick around for that. All right, so here's who went from Raw to SmackDown. Kevin Owens, Charlotte, The New Day, Rusev and Lana, Sami Zayn, the Shining Stars and their Puerto Rican timeshares, Sin Cara, Jinder Mahal, and Tamina. And then from SmackDown back to Raw, you have The Miz and Maurice, Dean Ambrose, Bray Wyatt, Alexa Bliss, Mickie James, Apollo Crews, who's still wrestling in the company somehow, Kalisto, Keith Slater and Rhino, and Kurt Hawkins. Just the facts. All right, so which move excites you the most?
Which I think the move of Charlotte to SmackDown excites me the most. Because while I love Alexa Bliss, like I just felt like the women there were getting a little stale with each other. And so I think that move and getting Tamina back too, I think, it's hard because when Nia Jax came around, she reminded me so much of Tamina, just look wise. But their skill set is very, very different. And so to have the two on the different shows, I think will be great. But I think I'm most excited about Charlotte's move to SmackDown.
All right, what about the one that not this. I guess disappoints. Yeah. Which one are you most apprehensive or worried about? Which move?
Um, Dean Ambrose to Raw. Like, Raw does feel like the flagship show. Raw does feel like it's far more of an institution than SmackDown. And because Dean Ambrose is such a wild card, like I just feel like he fits so well on SmackDown. But at the same time, he's great, so he'll be fine on Raw. It's just that weird sort of like, I don't know. SmackDown sort of seems like the independent version of Raw, and Dean Ambrose seems like he fits more there. What about you?
Yeah, much more fitting for a lunatic fringe to be on Tuesday nights than Monday. Although now all three guys of the Shield are back on the same show, which a lot of people were pointing out on Twitter. I don't want a reunion anytime soon, but
I don't need it.
Maybe some backstage, hey man, I haven't seen you in a while, like those kind of vignettes, maybe that'll be cool. But for now, yeah, keep those guys separate as much as possible. For me, I'm going to pick two guys who are inextricably linked forever, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. I'm most excited for Zayn because he can go from being a mid-card jobber basically on Raw, and they were kind of building him up as this annoying teacher's pet to the front office kind of character, whereas now on SmackDown, I think he can establish himself more as an upper-carder, show off his actual wrestling skills. He fits more on Tuesday nights, which is more about the wrestling, less about the pomp and circumstance, and I think he can finally get some wins and can be a good babyface along with like a Nakamura to go against the AJ Styleses and the Dolph Zigglers and those heels on that show. So very excited for Sami to finally get out of purgatory. By the same token, though, less excited for Kevin Owens to make the move. This is the one that worries me the most because what I loved about KO was that Monday, Raw is the circus show, right? It's the ratings. It's the show that Goldberg shows up on even though he can't wrestle. It's the show that Roman Reigns leads, who didn't spend a day working in the indies. It's the show that Brock Lesnar comes on once every 3 months. And right. Owens was the perfect guy to undercut all of that and to subvert it. When you needed a promo to say, Goldberg, you're old. You can't hang with us anymore. Kevin Owens was the guy to do it. When you needed a promo to tell Roman Reigns, you're just a pretty football player who got a break. You don't know how to wrestle. Kevin Owens is the one to do it. And now he won't have those targets to go after on SmackDown because SmackDown is basically all of his buddies from Ring of Honor, back in the day. And
Cena's still on SmackDown. No, yeah, Cena's still on SmackDown, right? Kevin Owens can pick on Cena.
He is, yeah, but I mean, Cena's gone now for the next however many months. And that's something, so when Cena comes back, that'll be a great feud. But until then, who does Kevin Owens have to make fun of there outside of superficial looks? So we'll see. Hopefully, I mean, I have 100% faith in the guy. He knows how to make stuff work. He's going to be great. I know it. But just the brand of KO that we're going to get now, I'm sure is going to be very different than the one I grew to love on Raw. And I wonder if it'll be for the better or for the worse. So
yeah, that makes sense.
We'll see. All right. Well, time now. Back to our favorite Samoan. Back to Roman. Obviously, he's going nowhere, right?
Right.
And even the fact that they teased Seth maybe going, I didn't believe that for a second. These guys are tent poles. But we're going to play anyway, and I'm going to give you a couple trade proposals, Betsy, to see storyline only, not real life, obviously, because Roman's not going anywhere from the number one show. Storyline only, would you make these trades? So I'm going to offer you straight up from SmackDown, John Cena for Roman Reigns. Would you do it?
No.
Why not?
Well, like you just said, John is going to be gone for a while. He's not wrestling as much as he used to be. And so he's not really the draw that he used to be either. So no, I wouldn't trade John Cena for Roman Reigns straight up.
What about John Cena and the entire women's division? So you get all the women on Raw and John Cena. Would you trade that for Roman Reigns?
On principle, as a woman, absolutely fucking not. No. Okay. One man is not worth the entire women's roster.
All right. I like it. John Cena and AJ Styles for Roman Reigns, a 2-for-1.
Oh, that's a good one. I would consider that. I might consider,
but not a slam dunk. Still just considering.
No, I think I might do like a John Cena, AJ Styles, Nikki Bella trade.
Okay, so a 3-for-1.
Yeah.
All right, you're a tough negotiator. I like it. What about maybe? All right, so it sounds like Cena being a part-timer is kind of holding you back on some of the Cena traits. Let's take him out. What if I give you AJ Styles and I trade myself? I'm GM Daniel Bryan. I come over. I can't wrestle, but man, can I be great on the mic? I can get the crowd doing yes. I can host your post-game show. So I'm trading you myself, Daniel Bryan, and AJ Styles for Roman Reigns. Would you do it?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Even though why a general manager would trade for someone to come on his show and then leave the show himself would not quite work.
Right.
Let's pretend that this was before Monday. So let's say Dean Ambrose is still on SmackDown. John Cena, AJ Styles, and Dean Ambrose. Those three guys, and I'll throw in Nikki Bella too, because she can't be separated from her fiance now. So you get those four for Roman Reigns. Would you do it?
Yes.
All right. Too much talent.
Hesitation.
Yeah, too much talent to turn down. All right, so but basically there's no 1-for-1 swap that you would do for Roman Reigns in the company right now.
No, I don't think so. Because I mean, if he and Seth were on different shows, that might be a 1-for-1. But since they're on the same show, then there's not really anyone else that I can think of.
And that's why we do a show about him every single week, because he is the guy.
What would it take for you to trade Roman from Raw to SmackDown? Like, what would you have to get?
I mean, definitely AJ would have to be in there. Personally, I'm a big Nakamura mark, so if you could throw in Shinsuke. But then the problem is you're making Raw what it's not, which is a wrestling-driven show. And Roman, for as spotty on the mic as he can be, and has maybe not 5 stars as matches are, although they're always good, but not always great. That's the heat that you need on Monday, is a guy who's a lightning rod like that. So I would probably need Cena, Styles, and Nakamura, like those three for Roman, and I'd consider that. But otherwise, I'd hold on to him.
Yep.
Like you say, if Seth Rollins was on the table, but they're on the same show, so you're not going to find anyone that's worthy for me to make that trade. So.
Yep.
All right, there you go. All right, well, we gave Roman his rating. We talked about the shakeup. We talked about the beatdown. I think we've got this week covered pretty well, Betsy. Anything else you want to touch on that we haven't gotten to?
I mean, something super, super, super superficial in the shakeup.
That's awesome. We love superficiality here.
So when they were first talking about the draft, of course, I watch Total Divas and Total Bellas and whatnot, and everyone was talking about being separated from their friend and whatnot. And Renee Young and Dean Ambrose were together at the time and got drafted to SmackDown together. And now that he's on Raw, now I'm like, oh, did they break up?
Oh, I have some news for you, because like you say, you don't read any of the dirt sheets or the internet wrestling community. They did not break up. They're married.
What?
Yes. And if you are just listening to us, you have to watch this on YouTube for Betsy's facial reaction. Yeah, Google, when we're done here, Google Renee Young married or wedding, and people saw on Monday night that Dean came to the ring and was fighting with a wedding ring on. Yes. And then on Talking Smack the next night, Renee Young was also wearing a ring. And so the internet's going ballistic. And then Kevin Owens, this is why he's the freaking best. He came on Talking Smack after SmackDown, and he says, Renee, congratulations. And she goes, yeah, thank you. It's very great having you on the show. So thanks for congratulating us on getting you, trying to play it up in wrestling terms. He's like, no, I mean that thing on your hand. We can talk about that, right? And he completely breaks the fourth wall, and it's so uncomfortable. And you should at least Google that clip as well.
Oh, it's okay.
Because KO just comes in and lights the whole place on fire, and Renee is so painfully embarrassed and awkward. But then I think she confirmed it on Twitter yesterday. She was like, being married is great. Thanks for all the support. And that's all she said. But they're together now for till death do them part.
All right. I like those two a lot.
Yeah. Well, till death or till Superstar Shakeup do them part, because now they're on separate shows, and that can't be good for marriage, I would imagine.
No, I can't either.
Oh, it's got to be tough. I think all the real-life couples are on the same show except for them. Rusev Lana, the one Uso brother, I forget who's married to her, and Naomi, and John and Nikki, obviously. And I think that's all the couples.
John Uso, who is Jay. Is he Jay in the Jimmy and Jay?
I don't know.
I think he might be Jay in the Jimmy and Jay.
lose track. If Michael Cole gets them confused once in a while, I feel okay confusing them once in a while because I just can't tell the difference.
That's true.
But yeah, now Dean and Renee, we'll see if they can stand the test of time, that true love, now that they're separated. Yeah. Oh, well. All right, Betsy, let everyone know where they can find you on social media, online, all that kind of fun stuff.
Facebook is Betsy Struxness. Twitter and Instagram are at BE_Strux, STRUX.
Yep. Hit her up. I'm at Mike Janella for everything. That's Mike as you would spell it, then Janella, Janela. And again, review us, rate us, and Betsy,
even if you hate us.
That's it. iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher. We're on YouTube as well if you like seeing our pretty faces while you hear our amazing commentary. And yeah, guys, keep the love coming. All the people who have reviewed already, thank you so much. We really do appreciate it. And yeah, if Roman is off TV the next couple of weeks, maybe we'll get some guests in to talk about, their thoughts on Roman in general. Because if he's not going to be there, we got to have something to talk about.
It's true. I have a friend who could be very interesting on the podcast who I think pretty much hates Roman.
Oh, we do love conflict here. So yes, let's talk about that once we get off the air. All right, Betsy, thanks so much. We'll talk to you again next week.
Yep. See you then.
All right, guys, and thank you for listening, watching, however you consume us, and make sure to join us next time as well. And don't forget, we're not a good podcast. We're not a bad podcast. We're just the podcast. Believe that. See ya.